What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some insane battles in the Open Great League. A few weeks ago you may have seen my video where I ran a triple shadow team consisting of 3 of the most broken shadow Pokemon in the form of Swampert, Walrein and Nidoqueen, except I ran them without their most busted charge moves to see if they still could perform. If you've not seen that video, I'd highly recommend you check it out, as it may be one of my most entertaining videos ever. The amount of nuke charge moves that my opponents let through was insane, and Nidoqueen was certainly the MVP, running Stone Edge and Earthquake. But anyways, going back to today's video, I'm going to be taking it even further, as instead of running these 3 busted meta Pokemon, I'm going to be running their middle stage evolutions. That's right, I'm running Marshtomp, Sealeo and Nidorina to see if they can still perform in the Great League. On top of that, instead of running triple shadows, I've decided to run a triple Purified team just for the fun of it, so let's just see how it goes. Before we get into the battles, let's start with the question of the day. Which Purified Pokemon aside from Sableye benefits the most from the addition of Return to its move pool? This can be for the Great, Ultra or Master League, I don't mind, just let me know in the comment section below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle here, we lead into an Alolan Ninetales. Not the best lead here, but what I'm going to try and do is switch into the Sealeo as they throw the Weather Ball, and it looks like we're able to catch it there, so that is perfect. Weather Ball is double resisted, so it does absolutely nothing to the Sealeo. We do bait out a Sableye, which is ideal because Nidorina in the back only has resisted moves to throw at this Sableye, so I am glad I'm seeing it here. Unfortunately, Sableye will be able to beat the Sealeo, especially when they shield the Water Pulse, and I can only land a Body Slam. This Body Slam is also double resisted, so it does absolutely nothing to the Sableye. That is not ideal for us. I'm going to come in with the Marshtomp. We will win CMP here, so I'll go for the Surf. Straight away, we get a shield from the Sableye, and I'm going to put my own shield up here and go for another Surf, as I do have 2 of them. I go for it straight away. This should connect, and it nearly takes out the Sableye. Unfortunately, they're just barely able to survive, but they do switch into the Alolan Ninetales, meaning they are switch locked. So I come in with the Nidorina here. I go for a Poison Fang, and I'm going to commit to a Poison Sting farm down. Unfortunately, they go for a Weather Ball there. I wasn't counting, and they barely didn't have enough for the Side Shock. So a bit of a misuse of shields there, but I'm going to go for a Poison Fang up against this Diggersby with all shields down. This is looking very scary because Earthquake will easily take me out. I land a Return, it does a decent amount of damage, and I'm able to get to 1 more Poison Fang before they throw. I think they're building up to nearly 100 energy before throwing, so I switch out here and I'm able to catch the move. Is it the Earthquake? Yes it is. They go for an undercharge. Unfortunately, they undercharge too much. They try to catch a move, but unfortunately once again they're not able to, and I land the Surf here, and we take out the Diggersby and we take that game. So a pretty crazy game 1 with this team. Into the next game, we lead into a Galarian Stunfisk. This is really good for us. They switch into Pelipper, and I'm going to switch and catch the Weather Ball here onto the Sealeo. Excuse me. Unfortunately, that is just a Water Weather Ball, so we don't double resist it like we did against the Alolan Ninetales, but we still do resist it, and it doesn't do an awful lot of damage. We go for the back-to-back Body Slams here. We do get a shield from this Pelipper, and at this point I'm going to shield up the Sealeo as they do have enough for the Hurricane. I shield it up, it's just a Weather Ball. Unfortunately, my opponent tries to catch the Body Slam there, which is a really nice play, but I'm going to go for the Water Pulse here. It does a pretty big chunk of damage to the Stunfisk. We try to catch the Rock Slide, but unfortunately my opponent holds on to the energy. They land an Earthquake, it does so much damage, but I'm going to build up to the back-to-back Surfs here. Surf 1 takes him out, and I can throw 1 more Surf into the Venusaur that comes in here, and we do some nice chip damage up against the Venusaur. I come in with the Nidorina. We do resist everything Venusaur can throw, so this is a very good matchup for us, and on top of that we can spam out these Poison Fangs and debuff their defense extremely fast. They're going to go for a Frenzy Plant here up against the Nidorina. It is a CMP tie, so we do get the Poison Fang off before they can switch out. It nearly KOs, but they're able to switch into the Pelipper here. We let the Weather Ball go through, and at this point I'm just going to fast move farm down both the remaining Pokemon here. We shield up the Weather Ball, and we're able to Powder Snow, farm down the Venusaur, and I'm able to take that game. Into the next game, we lead into a Lickitung. So, bit of a tricky lead here, as Lickitung does have that Power Whip to hit for huge double super effective, and that will almost certainly take out the Marshtomp. So I'm going to switch here, and I'm able to catch the move here, and I don't have to shield this up. Power Whip wouldn't take us out, and they do go for a Body Slam, which is nice because that does even less damage. I'm going to go for a Body Slam of my own up against the Alolan Ninetales here, and I'm able to get to one more Body Slam pretty much as soon as I threw the first one. And am I able to get to one more? No, but my opponent throws a charge move, which is perfect for me. I'm going to let this go through, and now they are energy dry. I can come in with the Nidorina here, and I should not shield this, but I shield it anyway, and unfortunately, once again, just not counting the charms there. It's pretty straightforward. Charm, a very slow move, but I made a mistake there. I go for a return, and unfortunately, the Lickitung shields it up. I'm going to switch into the Marshtomp here, and I will throw a Surf before they get to another charge move. We take out the Lickitung, and they have a Medicham in the back, so I'm just going straight for the return. This will do huge damage to the Medicham, and we land it, and it does about 60%, but unfortunately they can counter, farm me down, and now we're really not in a good position. We're going to have to call a bait or call that they're throwing the Psychic and shield up. I'm going to no shield this, and it is an Ice Punch bait, which is perfect. My opponent lost track of the energy. I'm able to get to a Poison Fang once again, and this will be taking out the Medicham, and we take that game. So one of the benefits of Nidorina is it's extremely difficult to keep track of its energy because it only takes 4 Poison Stings to get to that Poison Fang. Into the next game, we lead into a Walrein. Not a very good lead for us. I switched there at a random point in time, hoping to catch an Icicle Spear, but unfortunately they go for an Earthquake, and that does huge damage to me. I'm going to go for the Body Slam here, but they're able to make a brilliant catch onto a Medicham, and that doesn't really do an awful lot of damage, but let's be honest, Body Slam wasn't going to do too much up against the Walrein either. We go for one more Body Slam, and unfortunately it's a CMP tie, so I'm not able to get off that last Body Slam, but it does mean that I expend their energy, so I guess that's something. Gonna farm up a ton of energy, go for a Surf here up against this Medicham. We take out the Medicham, and I'm expecting the Walrein to come back in. So I'm going to go for a return here, and my opponent allows me to get there, so that is good. If we can land this, it's going to do huge damage, so I switch into the Nidorina. They do have enough for another Earthquake, so I do shield it, and that is good because they do go for the Earthquake. And at this point, they've still got 2 shields, so I'm thinking, what's the likelihood that they're going to shield this next charge move, considering I can spam out Poison Fangs at an insane rate. So I go for the return, and they shield it, and I could have just gone straight Poison Fang and probably easily won this matchup, but now I have really set myself back, and I don't think I'm going to be able to win this unless I can make a catch onto the Marshtomp. So I go to try and catch the move, but unfortunately they don't throw. My opponent very well disciplined there, and they are able to take me out with a Frenzy Plant and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, really well played. Into the next game, we lead into an Azumarill, and I think this is not the worst matchup ever, as the returns do massive damage, but Sealeo is definitely tankier, and Play Rough doesn't do too much here. They come in with a Registeel, which is obviously really bad, but it does mean that it's not aligned to our Nidorina, which absolutely cannot touch Registeel, as all moves are resisted by the Registeel. They're going for the charge move. Focus Blast takes us out, and we do have a ton of energy stored on this Marshtomp, so we can go for one Surf here, farm up a little bit extra energy, and go for one more Surf up against this Registeel, and this takes out the Registeel. They come straight back into the Azumarill. We're going for a return, and then we're going to switch into the Nidorina to try and catch another Play Rough. They do not throw straight away, so this could be a Hydro Pump, so I will shield it up. Unfortunately, it's just an Ice Beam, but that does mean that if they're staying in, which they are, they're going to go for another Ice Beam, and we can easily tank this. They come in with a Medicham. They do have 2 shields remaining, so this is still going to be very tricky. We're going to go for a return here after debuffing their defense. Is my opponent going to shield? Yes, they are, and unfortunately, we played that quite poorly, and that was pretty predictable, but we should hopefully get another shield here. No, we do not get a shield. I'm just going to force them to throw their energy, and hopefully, what, Dynamic Punch? What the heck? My opponent is running Dynamic Punch, so that is not what you typically see on Medicham, but it does mean that perhaps they're running Dynamic Punch and Psychic, so they're going to be slower to reach the charge moves. They come back in with the Azumarill. I'm going to overfarm here, go for a Surf. This will be taking out the Azumarill. And can we get to the return? It doesn't look like it, so I'm just going for the Surf here. This should still take out the Medicham, and I'm able to take that game. Alright, so going into the next match here, we lead into a Shadow Ninetales, so a very good lead. They switch into Lickitung, and unfortunately I do not have a response to Lickitung, so I'm going to chip it with a Surf before eventually switching into the Nidorina, and at this point I was hoping that maybe I'd be able to catch a Power Whip, but they do not throw, so they go for a Body Slam here. They're at the back-to-back already, which is not ideal. I'm really hoping that by the time I get to a return, this will be enough to take out the Lickitung, and we go for it here. And it's not enough, and unfortunately they get to another Body Slam, so I'm gonna have to shield this up if I want to maintain switch advantage, but I do get a nice Poison Sting farm down. I go for the back-to-back Poison Fangs, but I'm so stupid, and I don't have enough health to survive that Ember, so they take me out with a ton of energy loaded. I'm gonna go for a return here, and we do land it up against the Medicham, but unfortunately I only have a Sealeo in the back, so this is not looking good for us at all, especially since they're running the Power Punch there, so I've pretty much got no chance. If they were running Ice Punch, then maybe there was a possibility, but unfortunately because of the Power Punch, once again we're going to go down here with the back-to-back moves loaded, and unfortunately there's just nothing we can do. So a very big misplays here for me in this game, allowing my opponent to just absolutely run over me. So GG's to that opponent, very well played. Into the next game, we lead into a Trevenant, so I'm just going to go straight for the Poison Fangs. You will see that here I am now leading with the Nidorina, and pretty much it was for the Trevenant matchup in the lead, so it's really nice that we're seeing it here. We go for another Poison Fang. I've noticed that for some reason they didn't even go up to the Shadow Ball on that previous move. Maybe they're running Foul Play, but either way I was not going to shield that. They go for another Seed Bomb, which is really strange. I'm not sure what they're doing, if they've realized that we don't have the sub ground typing on the Nidorina, but either way I'll take that. We have a 2 shield advantage. I'm going to shield this, and then I should be able to Powder Snow, farm them down, but they come in with an Azumarill. An Azumarill up against the Sealeo is a pretty neutral matchup here. Both fast moves are resisted. We can spam these Body Slams. They're going to be able to throw the neutral play roughs, but you see that doesn't even do 50% of our health. So we're going to go for another Body Slam here. Now we're switching into the Marshtomp, and we should be able to tank any move from this Azumarill, especially when it's an Ice Beam, so I'm going to let that go through. That is fine. I'm going to build up a ton of energy. We're at 100 energy. We're going for the return here. We take out the Azumarill, and my opponent comes in with the Alolan Ninetales. I'm just barely able to reach the next return. This will do huge damage up against the Ninetales. I get to a Body Slam here. This will be taking out the Ninetales, and that Trevenant is so low that we can just Powder Snow, farm them down, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Shadow Alolan Marowak, so not a very good lead for the Nidorina. Unfortunately, we just don't have any coverage really to hit Ghost types, so not ideal situation for us to be in. So we switch into the Sealeo. We can at least get a shield advantage in this matchup, which we're able to do, but unfortunately there's just not a lot we can do here. But they do switch and catch a Body Slam on the Tapu Fini, which is much better than if they'd have stayed in and just completely farmed me down. So I will definitely take that. We're going for a Poison Fang, and at this point it's pretty obvious that they're running a Azumarill in the back, so I'm going to no shield this Surf. Surf isn't going to do a ton of damage. Nidorina is actually reasonably bulky, and we're just barely able to Poison Sting, farm them down. I switch into the Marshtomp. I'm expecting the Bone Club here, and they do go for it, so that was a nice switch there to catch that move. They come in with an Azumarill. Return is going to be doing a lot of damage to this Azumarill. It lands, it does about 40% to the Azumarill, so that's pretty nice chip damage there. They go for an Ice Beam. I'm hoping that I can get to the return just before they throw their move, and this should be getting the final shield, and we're able to switch out, go for a Poison Fang here. Unfortunately, I should have gone for the return here, but I expected them to switch out. But it's a CMP tile, which is probably the best case scenario. We still do have a ton of energy on the Marshtomp, so I'm just gonna get to the back-to-back surfs, shield up this move. They go for the Bone Club, I can go for the surf here, and I'm gonna have one more surf to throw into the Azumarill, and at this range, surf is gonna be taking out the Azumarill, and we take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead Nidorina into another Kanto Shadow Ninetales. This time we are with the Nidorina, so not as good a matchup as the Marshtomp. So I'm going to build up a ton of energy here. I'm expecting a Weather Ball here. They do go for it, and I'm going straight for the return. This will do huge damage to the Ninetales, and we land it, which is perfect. I switched there to catch the Weather Ball, but maybe that wasn't the best play. Maybe I should have just shielded once and farmed down, but they come in with a Sableye, and this is my best matchup up against the Sableye, so I'm pretty happy about that. They go for a foul play. I'm going to build up to nearly 100 energy, go for the surf here, and we should be able to land one more surf before they throw their next move, and we're able to. They let it go through, and they're going to go for a farm down, so I'm able to get to another surf here. And is my opponent going to shield this up? No, they let it go through, which is perfectly fine. They go for a Powder Snow farm down with the Frostlass here. So I'm going to come in with the Nidorina here, try to catch an Avalanche, but unfortunately they do not throw straight away. So this is going to be a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball would do a ton of damage, but it's still not super threatening in this matchup because we do double resist the Powder Snows. Shadow Ball lands, but they still need to go for another Shadow Ball, and my opponent switches there trying to catch a move, which is perfect. I go for the Water Pulse, we land it, it does a nice amount of chip damage. We're going for the Body Slams now, as they do need to start shielding. We get a shield from my opponent. I'm going to switch into the Nidorina, catch the charge move. Shadow Ball lands, takes us out. I'm able to get to a Body Slam here. This will not take them out, but one more Powder Snow will be enough to take out the Frostlass, and I'm able to take that game. And now going into the final battle here, we lead Nidorina into Bastiodon. So this is pretty much as bad as it gets in the lead. If we were running Dig, then we would at least be able to hit for double super effective damage. But we're not doing that, so unfortunately we just can't do anything. So I tank the charge move, switch into Sealeo. My opponent actually switches out of that matchup into the Victory Bell, which is actually worse for them because it means that if they want to maintain alignment, they're going to have to double shield this matchup, which they do. So I can come in with the Nidorina after my switch clock runs down and then go straight for the return, not allowing them to get to a Leaf Blade or anything because I don't want to use a shield in this matchup. My opponent then waits out their switch clock, which allows me to switch into the Marshtomp here. They come in with Trevenant. This typically is an awful matchup, but we're up 2 shields and we have an energy advantage, so we should be able to win this matchup, and we should be able to take out the Bastiodon. So we go for a surf there, we're going for a second surf here. This still won't take them out, and unfortunately they're nowhere near in range for me to Mudshot farm down, whereas if we were running the Swampert, then they perhaps would be closer and perhaps we would be able to Mudshot them down. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to in this matchup. We're going to go for a switch here to try and catch the Stone Edge, but we get that stutter lag, and unfortunately, we're not able to switch out. Stone Edge takes us out, and I just quit the game there because that was really frustrating. We had it in the bag there. We perfectly timed that switch, but the stutter lag just ruined it for us, and unfortunately, that's just how the game is sometimes, and there's nothing I can do about that. So that's going to be it for today's video. Unfortunately, this team just doesn't perform anywhere near as well as the final stage evolutions of the same 3 Pokemon, and that's not just because they're missing those broken moveset combinations of Mudshot and Hydro Cannon, Poison Jab and Poison Fang, or Powder Snow and Icicle Spear. It's also because of the coverage moves that those Pokemon have. Nidorina running Return doesn't really give it any coverage, as a lot of the Pokemon that resist Poison also resist the normal typing, so it's really only there as a neutral nuke moves in a lot of the neutral matchups. So Return doesn't really help out the Nidorina. Of course you could run Dig, but that is a pretty awful charge move. It's 80 energy for 100 damage, so one of the worst damage per energy moves in the game and the most expensive move in the game. But I am really hoping that with the next week, when the new season begins, we will see a massive moveset update, and I'm hoping that Dig is going to be one of the moves that gets updated. The Sealeo running Water Pulse is just absolutely garbage. Once again, Water Pulse, not a very good move at all. And of course the Marshtomp, I had a choice of running Mud Bomb, Sludge or the Return. I opted for the Return just because I thought it would go well with this triple Purified theme team. But really, the Sludge Wave and the Earthquake are just so much better, as they are more threatening nukes and they can hit for super effective damage against Pokemon, whereas Return at best is going to hit for neutral. But with that being said, I hope you did still enjoy today's video, and if you did, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And with that being said, let's get into the shoutouts from my previous video. So firstly, we've got Shikhar Ankit Sharma, who says Shadow Banette is an absolute monster in closing games, and they suggested for me to give it a try. If you guys have seen some of my older videos, you'll know that I have used Shadow Banette a few times, and it is such a strong Pokemon, so it's really cool that that's been their MVP for this season. Next, we've got Yveltal Pokemon, who says Shadow Skuntank, and they were able to climb 400 points with it in the Open Great League, so that is a pretty significant point climb with a pretty spicy Pokemon. And finally, we've got Acid Bite, who says their MVP has been XL Shadow Drapion in the Open Ultra League. I certainly know that Jamie Finn praises this Pokemon a ton and says it's the best save swap in the meta, so of course it's not a surprise that it's someone's MVP this season. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.